Since the beginning of time, man has been doodling. Only recently, however, has the activity become something of a national pastime. And only recently have scholars in a number of fields begun to interpret this phenomenon. For the most part, it has been found to be a harmless enough diversion. In certain rare instances, however, it can be dangerous. This is the story of a man whom we shall call David Watt. David Watt's earliest drawings seem to indicate that he was a happy, well-balanced child. Here we see a representation of his house and family, and a rare self-portrait of himself in the middle. Everything seems in order. There are flowers in the yard, the sun in the sky, and there is no indication of any disturbances to come. Here we see David Watt in school, where he encounters for the first time that discipline which is to make of him a good and mature citizen. David Watt is learning to print the letters of the alphabet. His natural aptitude in this field earned him frequent and varied recognition. We have carefully searched the available documents for some early sign of the weakness which was later to prove David Watt's undoing. The only evidence we are able to find is this grade 2 exercise book cover, where, in the act of printing his own name, he apparently suffered a temporary lapse of attention. This may be David Watt's first doodle. It is not until some time later, however, that we see the first real evidence of chronic doodling. Here, for instance, is a grade 7 exercise book cover, seen in its successive stages from the beginning to the end of the school year. But none of this is abnormal in a spirited young boy. The subject matter of his doodles shows evidence of healthy preoccupations for his age. He played games as well, current at the time. Squares, tic-tac-toe, and the educational word game of hang the man, at which, or so we have been told, he was particularly adept. Puberty for David Watt was as difficult a time as it is for most boys. His doodles of the period reflect his obsessions, his fears, his secret desires, as well as a not uncommon ignorance of female anatomy. At times he had to quickly camouflage his work in order to avoid discovery. The extent of his preoccupation was such that he would devise a lewd interpretation even of an ordinary geometric diagram, not without, it must be admitted, a certain wit. These preoccupations were all abandoned, however, when David Watt met what seems to have been his one true love. Mara is her name. We have no likenesses of her surviving, only countless examples of her name reverently scrawled on shirt cardboards, paper napkins, among other places. Here he is inscribing a book of poetry for her. Watt entered her name in his personal address book at the beginning of the relationship and deleted it some time later. Mara's disappearance from his life, still unexplained, was as definitive as it was abrupt. Time passed. David Watt married, became a father, and went out to face the world. His early career had both its ups and its downs. But he soon began to show great promise and to win the grudging respect of his superiors. His tax returns were always exemplary, and he gave of himself not only from the pocketbook, but out of his very bloodstream. A patriotic man, an active participant in the democratic process, he did his best to provide for his family, no matter what the eventuality. Long years of effort gradually reaped their reward, and David Watt's name at the bottom of a sheet of paper came to carry more and more weight. All this time he was experimenting with his signature, for it occurred to him one day that important people always seem to have signatures that look as though they are the signatures of important people. And so David Watt embarked upon a program to develop for himself an important signature. He seems to have reached his peak with this rather Baroque variation. And it is from here that we may trace a curious deterioration in the signature, as though the subject were undergoing some subtle, though perhaps not insignificant, crisis. The onset was gradual, almost innocuous. A few little scribbles on bits of scrap paper, nothing apparently to be concerned about. Some indeed have been impressed by the aesthetic qualities of Watt's doodling at this juncture. Already, however, certain examples, while superficially attractive, seem to pose some unanswered questions. In any case, soon discordant elements begin to appear. A certain moodiness begins to manifest itself. Note, for instance, the eyes in the following series of drawings. This moodiness imperceptibly gives way to a more or less unambiguous hostility, and an increasing absence of logical progression from one stage of the drawing to the next. The gravity of the situation soon became clear to all concerned. We may cite the following examples. Item: a contract of some importance never signed. Item: one business letter never to be sent. An urgent memo left unopened. Watt's income tax return for the past year. And his desk blotter, before and after his tendencies came fully to light. For the following photographic records, we are grateful to the former Mrs. Watt. Watt's table setting. Watt's car windshield. Interior view and exterior view. His television screen. Sunday evening. Prime time. His bathroom mirror. Bathtub, etc. The Watt bed sheets after another widow's night for Mrs. Watt, and Mrs. Watt after another of those nights. For some months, David Watt received treatment from Dr. Engstrand of the Moslovsky Institute, and for a time there seemed to be some improvement, as is indicated by these symbolic sheets of unmarked paper. We are satisfied that Watt was given every opportunity to reassume his role in society. Alas, this final item in our dossier constitutes his only response. Since
Well, the copyright hammer came down pretty hard on YouTube. I apologize for stopping that film partially through. It's pretty good. I mean, but if it's going to shut everything down, then it's not worth it. I'm sorry. hopefully YouTube will come back. But I'm Skip Alzheimer. Thanks for joining me today, in spite of National Film Board of Canada's swift hammer coming down on me. So I'm Skip Alzheimer, and I probably just said that. And this is the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Event. And wabam! I'm going to go ahead and show you something, and hopefully this will not cause an issue. Some of you are thinking of career choices. This one is interesting. It's a film that's made for adults who are going to be crossing guards for schools. So here we go. Enjoy.
And that, Mrs. Roberts, should give you a pretty good idea of the purposes and functions of a school crossing guard. Tomorrow morning you'll get more instruction, but it'll be at the corner where you'll work. Can you meet me at 8 o'clock in the morning at your corner then? We'll watch the policeman you're replacing go through his paces. Of course, you won't have the authority or the added responsibilities of a regular police officer. By the way, Mrs. Roberts, here are 3 books that'll help you understand your job. Take them and study them. Get completely familiar with their contents. You'll find them very useful.
Thank you, Sergeant. I only hope I can remember everything you've told me. You've been very patient.
You're a good student, Mrs. Roberts. You and others like you will render a very fine service to the community. I'll see you in the morning.
Goodbye.
Good morning, Mrs. Roberts.
Good morning, Sergeant. How's this for good timing?
I'm glad to see you on time. That'll be a good habit when you become a crossing guard. Well, as I said yesterday, this is the school crossing where we sure can use your help. When you finish your training, the officer you see over there will be freed for regular police duty.
Isn't he a little early? I shouldn't think the children would be arriving for another half hour.
Well, Mrs. Roberts, school crossing duty starts before the children arrive. There are a few preparations that must be made. For example, right now he's checking traffic conditions. Are cars parked so they block the walk or cause dangerous blind spots for children or drivers? At times, it may even be necessary to have a car moved. It's part of the guard's job to spot any conditions that might cause crossing difficulties. An excavation for street repairs, for example, might require setting up a temporary crossing spot at another location nearby.
I see he's putting out some signs, too.
Yes, that's another reason for getting to your post early, so that signs planned for and made available are placed. These signs will be a great help to you in your job. It's important to know in advance the general pattern of traffic at your assigned location. Get an idea of the average speed of the cars, and note if they come in a steady stream or in groups, and what effect cars turning at the corner might have.
I suppose he's preparing to direct traffic.
I'm glad you raised that question. For a crossing guard, the answer is a definite no. Here, as in most communities, a school crossing guard does not direct traffic in the usual sense. Now, let me explain. The basic reason for use of school crossing guards is to give children the benefit of adult judgment in getting safely across a street. But experience has also shown that the mere presence of a crossing guard is usually enough of a warning to motorists to be alert. Oh, now I see some children are beginning to gather at the corner. Let's watch. You'll notice that while waiting for an opportunity to cross, he keeps the children grouped on the sidewalk, safely away from traffic. And he knows he must keep order. He's made it a point to be friendly with the kids, and they all like it. See how the officer is giving the older children responsibility? The school teachers suggested this technique. He has their respect, too, and they obey his directions. Here's a gap in traffic. Now watch. By holding up his hand, he makes sure he is seen by oncoming traffic. Notice the position he's taken. He can see cars, and drivers can see him. And he's also in a position to hold back stragglers or latecomers if necessary. Selecting a gap for a crossing reduces surprise to drivers that might cause a collision. Just remember that your signal merely alerts drivers that children are about to use the crosswalk. Supervision by the guard extends the safety training the child receives at home and in the school. Now, as you can also see, it's often necessary to halt children on the sidewalk to permit traffic to move. Traffic should not be allowed to move until it's safe to do so, but neither should traffic be held for a few children who are lagging behind. At this point, of course, the guard starts grouping a new gathering of children in preparation for the next crossing.
So far, it doesn't seem too difficult. It's mostly using good judgment and being aware of traffic conditions.
Well, that's basically the idea. Of course, you'll get more training before you're really qualified. Your confidence will increase as you understand such things as reaction time of drivers.
There's more to this than I realized. It really is quite a responsibility.
It sure is. You help build safety habits in the children and motorists. Also, you'll relieve an officer for other police assignments and be performing a community service. And who can measure the value of a service that prevents accidents and saves lives, particularly those of our children?
All right. So for those of you who like the Doodle film and want to see it in its entirety, the approved version by National Film Board of Canada, I put a link to it in the comments in Facebook and YouTube. Yeah, the robot came hard down on what we were showing. I don't feel so bad because I've seen evidence that this happens. There was, I guess, a Comic-Con thing talking about Star Trek, and it was ordained by CBS because they were talking about new Star Trek stuff coming out. And they had a panel, and they were going to show some stuff, and they were streaming it via YouTube, and it got slammed. So even by the copyright holder who was approving it, it could not stop the YouTube robots from slamming it down hard. Anyhow, so that last film was Adult Crossing Guards. I'm sure it's not a job that pays well. It seems like it's a volunteer position. And I like, someone did do the reference of to Guardiana, or Safety Woman, who I've shown 2 films that she was in, eagerly looking for the 3rd film. Hopefully it will show up at some point. So I have another film, and hopefully the Physicians for Automotive Safety will not bring down the copyright hammer on it. This is Buckle Up, Do It Right. Here we go. Enjoy.
Not too long ago, very few people buckled up. But today, more and more motorists are improving their chances of staying alive and well by using safety belts. If you are one of them, this movie is for you. We'd like to show you how belts work and what you can do to achieve maximum protection with the different belt systems found in today's cars. Here we see examples of improper use. A shoulder belt worn much too loose, trailing on the shoulder. And here, although it's hard to spot that this woman is wearing a belt at all, you will find that she is, but it's tucked under her arm. This is very dangerous, because in a crash, the belt could crush her rib cage. Some people believe that in a crash, the shoulder belt would retract. This is not so. The belt would lock in this extended position, allowing his upper body and head to be thrown too far forward. It is quite surprising to find so many people still not buckling up, though the effectiveness of belts has been proven over decades of accident investigations, and is demonstrated here. This spectacular footage was shot in West Germany. It shows drivers apparently unscathed following a violent crash into a tree and into a line of stationary cars. Because there is still a very serious risk of injury at these impact speeds, we warn against anyone conducting his or her own experiment. These tests, using anthropomorphic dummies, show the difference safety belts make in a 30-mile-per-hour crash into a concrete barrier. This would be equivalent to crashing into a parked car at 60 miles per hour. Notice that the head of the unbelted dummy strikes the windshield so hard that the glass breaks. Such an impact could cause serious injury to the brain and/or spine and lead to long-term or even permanent physical or mental disability. Although even the tightly belted dummy pivots forward a little, the head stays clear of interior structures or contacts them with reduced force. This forward movement occurs because the belt first tightens around the retractor, and also because the belt webbing stretches slightly. Imagine how far the head would move forward if only a lap belt were used, or the shoulder belt were worn too loose. The distance the head would move forward is also determined by the severity of the crash. The more violent the crash forces, the greater the structural damage to the vehicle and the risk of more serious injuries to occupants will be. Here, a great deal can be learned of the fate of those who were inside these vehicles. Some crashes are so violent that regardless of restraint use, they lead to serious injuries or just aren't survivable. But here, despite severe damage to the outside, the passenger compartment shows none. Therefore, a properly worn restraint could have prevented serious injuries. But the broken windshield reveals the tragic fact that the driver was not belted. Now let's find out why correct use of belts is so important. Meet Dr. Paul Wallace, an orthopedic surgeon who is uniquely qualified to discuss safety belts. As a longtime medical director for races such as the Sebring, the Miami Grand Prix, and St. Petersburg Grand Prix, Dr. Wallace has witnessed drivers walking away from crashes where there seemed no chance of survival, thanks to safety equipment, especially safety belts. Dr. Wallace, please explain how belts should be worn.
To be effective, a belt must be tight enough to couple you to the seat so that there isn't any movement. If it is not worn properly, particularly as you saw the shoulder part of it going against the rib cage underneath the arm, the ribs are thin, as you can see in the profile here. They're easily broken and they can be pushed in. The sharp spicules will go in, getting it either into the lung or into the heart. By wearing it up over the top of the shoulder girdle and bringing it on across to its attachment down here, you distribute the force over a much greater area and you protect the ribs, which are so easily broken and can do such terrible damage underneath.
And what about lap belts?
Lap belts, whether they're coupled with a shoulder strap or not, must be worn tightly over the lower part of the abdomen against the pelvis, which is a big, strong bone. the seatbelt's up here, it'll go against your intestines, your stomach, your colon, your liver. All of these could be ruptured. That can be fatal.
Clearly, then, it is not just a matter of wearing safety belts, but wearing them correctly.
That is absolutely critical.
Thank you, Dr. Wallace. This illustration shows correct, as opposed to incorrect wearing of the lap belt. Sitting upright is conducive to proper lap belt placement. Slouching causes the belt to ride up. A belt which is worn loose could, in a crash, allow you to slide under it. Now let's take a look at some belt systems. Here the lap portion locks and will therefore stay tightly secured. But push the belt well below the abdomen, then tighten again, and make sure you sit up straight. The shoulder belt should be close up against the body. This shoulder belt has what is known as a window shade system, which allows you to put a little slack in it. A small amount of slack is permissible, but if you've pulled out too much webbing, start again. And get into the habit of checking belt fit as you drive. Even small movements can cause a belt to loosen up unnoticed, and this much slack could make the shoulder belt quite useless. Therefore, after leaning forward, remember to tug at the belt to get it close up against the chest once more. Not all belts allow the lap portion to be locked. Here, the lap belt stays loose and could ride onto the stomach instead of staying low over the pelvis. This shoulder belt does not have a comfort feature like the one you just saw. If the belt rubs against your neck or you find the pressure against your chest uncomfortable, use a comfort clip to provide a little slack. Here is another type of belt. It has a dual retractor system, one on the shoulder belt and the other on the lap belt. Neither locks until a crash occurs. This youngster is bothered by the shoulder belt. He wants to put it under the arm, but that's not the solution. Belt fit may be improved by moving the young man a little towards the center of the vehicle. Also, avoid using only a lap belt in the front seat, something parents often resort to. But children should ride in the back. At this time, most cars have only lap belts in back seats, but combination lap shoulder belts found in some newer models offer more effective protection than lap belts alone. This 4-year-old has outgrown her regular safety seat, but is not tall enough for the shoulder belt. It would go right across her face. But correct fit can be achieved by raising her up on a special car booster seat. Notice how the booster helps to position the lap portion across the little girl's thighs. This is an ideal position. In this car, the shoulder belt anchor can be raised and lowered. So, with careful adjustment, proper fit can be achieved even for shorter persons. Should safety belts be worn in pregnancy? Yes, according to the American College of Obstetricians and the American Medical Association. But correct fit is absolutely critical. Lap belt snug and well below the abdomen. Shoulder belt close up against the chest and properly over the shoulder. A heavy coat, or even this light but stiff leather jacket, makes good belt fit difficult. It's best to take the coat off. But there are ways to improve belt fit with it on. Buckle up, then tuck the coat panels down the sides so the lap belt can make proper close contact over the pelvic bones. A short jacket can also be pulled out from under the belt. Have you ever wondered what makes a belt lock up in an emergency? Here it is. It's called an emergency locking retractor. When the pendulum is knocked out of vertical position, as it would be in a sudden stop, it causes the metal plate to engage the notched take-up reel, locking it. It's simple, ingenious, and reliable. If you have wondered whether the system would work for you, why not test it? In a few cars, the locking mechanism responds to the belt itself, and you probably discovered that by giving the shoulder belt a sharp tug, it locks. But most cars have vehicle-sensitive locking mechanisms, which means that the belt will lock only when the vehicle undergoes a rapid change in motion. Some cars have both. A system that's vehicle-sensitive can also be checked, but cautiously. Pick a dry day, don't carry passengers, and make sure there are no loose objects in the car that could be sent flying. Use a deserted parking lot or untraveled driveway, and check your belt, making sure the shoulder strap is in close contact with your body. Accelerate to 15 to 20 miles per hour, then brake hard. As the car comes to a stop, you will find the belt has locked. As long as you maintain pressure on the belt, it'll stay locked. By pulling back, it'll release. What does the future hold? Here you see an automatic shoulder belt. The belt is attached to the door and positions over you as the door closes. This is a motorized shoulder belt. The belt moves into position when the ignition is turned on and swings out of the way when it's switched off. Automatic belt systems were developed to meet federal government requirements for protecting people who forget to buckle up or find it too inconvenient to do so. Although the shoulder belt alone, combined with a specially designed lower dash, provides good protection, for optimum safety, and that's what this movie is all about, the lap belt must be used also. Here is an automatic belt that incorporates both the lap and shoulder portions. Although this film is about safety belts, we want to show you another automatic system, an airbag. The bag is stowed out of the way in the hub of the steering wheel until a sensor signals it to inflate. Some crashes are so severe that an airbag is needed to provide additional protection for the belted driver, especially for the head, chest, and face. Airbags supplement belts. They do not replace them. Let's hope you will never have to put your safety belt to the test. But should the unforeseen happen, be ready. Don't just buckle up. Make sure you do it right.
$1987. Somebody in the comments asked when they stopped distributing 16 millimeter educational films. I don't know for sure. It was definitely in the 90s because videotape was getting more and more available, and VCRs were more available in schools. And that's really the point, was how can this be distributed in a way that we know that it's a format that can be supported by whoever's showing them. And so the film that I have, I think is the latest, is 1994. And I'm sure it was available on video as well. And what was happening in the 90s is a lot of things were being shot on video, edited on video, and then bumped to film via kinescope. And the reason, why was film supported for such a long time? It's because schools had invested in projectors and were still using them. And they can be very resilient and can be repaired. And it's a quick and easy way to show stuff. you've already paid for the projector like 10 years ago, and it's still running, still being maintained. And so that's why 16 has really long life. So I wanted to say a couple of things. One, thank you, Jeffrey Havihan, for coffee. You can buy AV Geeks coffee right here at this link. Caffeine is what keeps us going here. It is the secret lifeblood of AV Geeks. Also, some great news. Got some boxes today. AV Geeks t-shirts have arrived. I have a list of all of you who have bought one thus far, and I will start sending them out probably this weekend. So look for them showing up next week, unless somebody has slowed down the mail. Not saying anything. All right, this next film is wow, I have so many options here. Great films to show. All right, this one is this is a 70s film, and it's definitely of a time, and it's called Make Mine Metric, and it was when we were going to switch over to the metric system, which we were all excited about and gung-ho about, and then suddenly Ronald Reagan got voted in, and then suddenly that conversation disappeared. So here it is, Make Mine Metric.
3,700. Can you tell me how many square in a square yard? 4 pints there are in a gallon?
I really don't. There's no truth. I don't.
Most people find our present system of measurement very confusing to work with. And no wonder. It developed haphazardly at different times in different places. Many lengths were based on human measurements, like the foot. Unfortunately, the Greeks used the Saxons 13 inches and the Romans 11.5. Will the little foot please stand up? The founding fathers of our country described the inch as 3 barley corns, round and dry, from the midst of the ear. Right. Who knows what a barley corn is? It was obvious that what we needed was a more logical system of measurement, one that would save time on computations. And around the time of the French Revolution, we got one, the metric system. The metric system spread so quickly that by today the only countries that haven't adopted it are Liberia, Botswana, Gambia, and of course the United States of America. We are the last island in a metric ocean, which causes tremendous headaches for industries that import and export, car owners and mechanics, not to mention problems for anyone who travels abroad. But not for long. Let's see how easy the metric system is. Instead of inches, feet, yards, miles, ounces, pounds, cups, pints, quarts, gallons, barrels, bushels, pecks, and furlongs. The metric system uses one simple term for each type of measurement. For length, the meter. For weight, the gram. And for volume, the liter. And for everyday use, you only need to learn 3 prefixes. Milli, which means 1/1000th. Centi, which means 1/100th. And kilo, which means 1,000. As we'll see later, the best part about the metric system is the time it saves in computation, since all the amounts are multiples of 10. Now, the basic unit of length is the meter. The meter is about 1/10 longer than the yard. A football field is 100 yards from goal to goal. 100 meters is the field plus 1 end zone, about 1/10 more. Hi, I'd like to get 3 meters of this material.
All right. Mark that off there, will you?
There you go. And
free. Rough day today, you know?
Excuse me. See, a meter is somewhat longer than a yard. You owe me 3/10 more. That's about a foot.
Huh? Foot, huh? Foot, huh?
Hey, foot.
Oh, foot. Right. We'll give you this much more, yeah.
For measuring longer distances, instead of 5,280 feet, we use 1,000 meters, or the kilometer. A kilometer is shorter than the mile, which will make things seem a little further away than they had formerly seemed to be away from.
45 kilometers across the sea. Santa Catalina is awaiting for me.
Harry, the sign back there said the speed limit was 90. Can you believe that?
Mm-hmm. 90. 90? 90.
Afternoon.
Hi.
Can I see your driver's license, please?
Sure. What seems to be the problem? I was only doing 90.
Well, I'll tell you, Harold, I clocked you at 140.
140?
Hold it. What's wrong in this picture? That's right. Harry is still thinking in miles per hour and should have his speedometer changed to the metric system. You see, since kilometers are shorter, the speed limit seems higher, but it's really the same. For measuring shorter distances, we use the centimeter and the millimeter. There are about 2.5 centimeters, or 25 millimeters, to the inch. So, this foot-long hot dog is about 30 centimeters. 24. Maybe 20 centimeters. It's not very big. It's a real hot dog. And now for the bathing suit competition. Miss Wyoming, 90, 60, 90. Miss Rhode Island, 55, 54, 55. Miss Texas, 120, 160, 130.
I lost 15 centimeters around my waist. Now I can wear a size 40 dress.
Yeah, but you still got a size 50 mouth.
In the metric system, the three types of measurement are all logically interconnected. For example, there is a relationship between length and weight. A cube, which is 1 centimeter on each side, is, of course, a cubic centimeter. And a cubic centimeter filled with water is what determines the gram, the basic unit of weight. 1 gram weighs the same as 1 cubic centimeter of water, but they are both much lighter than the ounce. In fact, it takes 28 grams to equal 1 ounce. Many small canned goods, if you look on the label, will show the net weight in both ounces and grams. For example, this can of chili beans is 15 ounces, or 425 grams. Milligrams are used extensively in science and medicine, where often the tiniest amounts can be critical. All your vitamins, pills, and other pharmaceutical needs are measured in milligrams. This brings us to the kilogram. Now, as some of you may already know, the kilogram, or kilo, is just over 2 pounds. Actually, 2.2 pounds to be exact.
I used to weigh 220, but after one brief lesson with the metric system, I only weigh 100.
How you doing?
Not bad. How about yourself?
All right. Listen, my wife wants a pound of tongue.
I know you mean a half a kilo.
You don't know my wife. I mean a pound of tongue.
I don't care about your wife. You see the sign? Half a kilo coming up.
I don't care about the sign. And don't try to sell me any other kind of cut. I want a pound of tongue.
Look, you want tongue?
Yeah.
Don't give me any lip.
Talk to the wife.
This brings us to the relationship between weight and volume. This same cubic centimeter of water is not only the weight of a gram, but also the volume of a milliliter. And 1,000 milliliters make up a liter. the basic unit in volume. A liter is just a bit more than a quart. In the metric system, gas stations could lower their prices to around 15 cents. That is, 15 cents per liter, a liter being almost 1/4 of a gallon.
My little bug still gets great mileage. Last week, I got 11 kilometers per liter.
We'll be back to our film after this message.
Hey, housewives, here's the answer to your confusing cooking problems. New Magic Liter. No more fuss and muss converting your recipe amounts from ounces and cups to pints, quarts, and gallons. You do it all in one step with metric liters. Salad dressings, health tricks, yes, even soup. Having a party for 30, but your punch recipe is only written for 5 servings? No bother. With all your ingredients measured in liters, you just multiply for the correct amounts. No conversions necessary. Liter measurements are so easy to work with, it's guaranteed. Save time, save energy with Magic Liter.
Every day, we're faced with confusing problems relating to measurement. The metric system will simplify most of the arithmetic. For example, products marked in metric terms will help out the comparison shopper.
Hi there. I have here some boxes of new improved Sudzo. This one is the large size that weighs 1 pound 9 ounces. And this one over here is the giant economy size that weighs 2 pounds 4 ounces. Now what we'd like to do is figure out which one is the best buy. Okay, in order to find that out, first we must transpose pounds and ounces to all ounces, so then we can divide in the first place. All right, so we have here 1 pound 9 ounces. Now how many ounces in a pound? 12. Okay, 12 ounces. 12 plus, 12 inches in a foot. 16 ounces in a pound. I knew it all the time. 16 ounces. So we have 16 ounces. 16 and 9 we must add together. 6 and 9 is 15. Put down the 5, carry the 1. 25. Okay, this box, the large size, has 25 ounces. Now, the giant economy size is 2 pounds 4 ounces. 2 16. 16 and 16 is 32 plus 4 is 30. Okay, 36 ounces in the giant economy size. Now what we must do is divide the price by the number of ounces in the box. Okay, so in the large size box, it's 56 cents. We divide that by 25 ounces. Okay, 2 25s is 50. So we'll put up a 2. That'd be 50 down there. 56, 6 remainder.
25 can't go into 6, so we bring down a 0. 25 into 60 goes 2. We put up another 2. It's 50. We have 10 left over. 25 can't go into 10, so we bring down another 0.
All right, you know what I just so happen to have here? Some boxes marked in the metric system, grams. Now, this large size box has 700 grams. Oh, and the giant economy size, 1 kilo, has 1,000 grams. Now, what we're going to do with this, all you have to do in the metric system is divide the number of grams into the price of the box. In this case, 56 cents divided by 7, 88 cents divided by 10. So we see the giant economy size really isn't so much of a bargain.
We interrupt this film to bring you a special bulletin from Metric News.
As America moves toward the metric system, the last holdouts have been seen finally switching over. Soon, it is predicted, the whole world will be unified under this easier system of measurement.
Oh, that's wacky. So, personal anecdote, my wife and I, we went to Montreal. I did a screening there. And as we went through customs, she saw the speed limit was 100 miles an hour. Or 100, it just said 100. And so she started speeding up. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Thankfully, on our car, I could just hit the metric thing and it would switch over. But yes, so that actually happened. She got very excited. She's like, woo, I get to go fast. I'm like, whoa, hold up. Anyways. Yeah, so this next film, I'm just going to go ahead and warn you guys and say I'm sorry and you're welcome. This film is called Billy's Mime, and it's about the mimes in our subconscious that constantly drive us to do what we do. It's not our fault. It's not a devil and an angel. It is a mime. So here it is. Billy's Mime.
Billy, you're daydreaming again. Daydreaming again. Daydreaming again.
Now look, son. Here is the fishing reel I want. It's all right here on this piece of paper. Don't lose it. Don't lose it.
Oh, Dad, he's always talking to himself. He's just gonna forget again. Forget again. Forget again.
Fishing reel, fishing reel, fishing reel. Fishing reel, fishing reel for Dad. I've gotta remember that. They say you're just a daydream, but I know you're real, aren't you? Nobody believes me. I mean, you're real, aren't you? A daydream? You seem so real. How can you be just in my mind? I see you, I know I do. But they say you're a daydream. And then we could be explorers, sailing down the ocean. And you'd be the sea captain. And then there would be a great big storm, and you'd be giving orders. And the crew would be running around. And then, hey, look at that tree, isn't that neat? Covered with balloons, red and blue and green. And that old car that came by, people would come out, they'd go fishing, and they'd have a picnic, and they'd ask us to join them. Fishing reel for Dad. Fishing reel. Dad wants a fishing reel. Fishing reel for Dad. Dad wants a fishing reel. Fishing reel for Dad. Dad wants a fishing reel. Fishing reel. Fishing reel. Dad wants a fishing reel. Fishing reel for Dad. F-I-S-H-I-N-G. Fishing reel. Fishing reel. Fishing reel for Dad. You're my friend. I feel you. I know you're real. I just know you're here. It was the bottom of the ninth, 2 out, and the bases were loaded, and I was up to bat. Fishing reel for Dad. Fishing reel. Fishing reel for Dad. And then I'll put the cloud right next to the apple tree. Big white puffy cloud. And then I'll put a pear tree next to the other side of the cloud. And a happy face. No. Yeah, a happy face right above the sun. No. A bush. No. A pear tree. I'll put the bush next to the pear tree. Gee, look at those shiny fishing reels. Wouldn't Dad like to have those kind? Gee, I almost goofed again. I almost used Dad's $20. That'd be a quarter here someplace. 2. I wonder if he really sees him. Does she know he's there? I know she sees him. I wonder if she has a friend like him, too. Gee, aren't these nice fishing poles? They're all red and colors, and they're shiny, too. Wouldn't Dad like to have one like this? So would I.
Another messy kid. How am I gonna keep this place clean? Oh, look, kid, I just finished cleaning that glass. Keep your fingers off, huh? You want something, kid?
Oh no, I think I lost that paper. Where'd I put it? What kind of fishing reel did Dad want? I lost my paper. I'll be back in a minute. That's my paper. Gee, that's a great bike. Only I could have a bike like that.
Hey, get off that bike! Don't come back! Get out of here. Go on, get out of here.
I didn't do anything wrong. Get off my bike! That's my bike! Get off! Leave him alone! You're mine! Go away! I don't need you! You're not my friend anymore! Who needs you anyway? I don't need you. 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 I can do things without you. Where are you? I'm sorry.
Hi, Billy. Welcome home.
Thank you, son. That's just the fishing reel I wanted. I'm really proud of you.
Anyone go with you this time, Billy?
No, it's just me.
So there's your mimes, man. It looked like that was Venice Beach where they were at, where there's I have a couple of films that were filmed there. Educational films by Encyclopedia Britannica. I think Magic Hands was shot there. A couple of other films from that place. And looking at the credits, so Paulists were a Catholic organization that did a lot of films, and they were responsible for the Insight program, among other things. And this is part of a series called the Bloomin' Human series, which is kind of interesting. There's other films I have in that collection I want to definitely show. There's one called My Main Man, which is pretty great. And it's all about kids. Both of those films are about their relationships with their fathers, which is interesting. I don't know if all of them are like that. But I was looking in the credits. I was like, who did the music or the harmonica? And it was Peter Ivers. And if it's the same Peter Ivers, he hosted New Wave Theater on Night Flight. And he also is the man who sang In Heaven, Everything is Fine in Eraserhead. And he was killed tragically. I think he was stabbed. Anyways, let me give you a little palette cleanser. This is a weird film. I think it's silent, but this is SMPTE, color television test film. And SMPTE is the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers, and this was designed to be a calibrating film that would be shown so people could calibrate their equipment at TV stations for color. The irony, of course, is that this film has faded, and I tried to bring back the colors a little bit, but really it's not. It's a shadow of its former self. So here it is, SMPTE color television test film.
This SMPTE color television test film is intended to fill two separate functions. First, in the color balance of the color scenes, this film is representative of that subjective balance, which will give acceptable reproduction on color television.
This
In
film
this
is
regard,
representative
film
of two
laboratories use
separate
this
functions,
film as
which
a
will
guide
give
to a desirable color balance of the prints intended for color television transmission. Second, this film can be used for a subjective evaluation of the adjustment and overall performance of a color television film system. The color reproduction of this and the following scenes should appear normal and of acceptable balance when viewed on a correctly adjusted color monitor. The following four scenes are examples of day and night lighting. The scenes should run acceptably with very little manual gain or pedestal adjustment. A satisfactory reproduction should be obtained on color monitors and receivers without excessive drift of black level. Black and white receivers without DC restoration can give an acceptable reproduction of the night scene due to the subjective effect of the lighting contrast. The transmission system should not evidence any bounce or drift of black level in the cuts between the day and the night scenes. Wardrobe and set colors used in this kitchen scene have provided good color contrast, but relatively low brightness contrast. Reproduction on black and white monitors may appear somewhat flat. In this scene, the large area of the background should appear uniform in color. Field impurity, either in the color camera or in the color monitor, may show up as a lack of uniformity of color in the background. The aim for this scene should be for an acceptable subjective color balance of the model's face and surrounding areas of the set, and not necessarily for perfect tracking of the three-step grayscale.
Hello. Yeah, so I just looked at our list, our inventory of all the films that we've been showing, and roughly, I mean, give or take one way or the other, this is our 600th film that we just showed. So congratulations, everybody. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in and chiming in and tolerating the onslaught of mimes and the onslaught of the... It's funny, I did two shows. One was called That Damned Metric System, and the other was called Those Damn Mimes. So it's funny, I showed two films. One about the metric system, one about mimes. They just kind of go in my head, that 70s kind of thing that I was obsessed with, that now it's like, what happened? Where did they all go? But yes, very much appreciate your spending time with us, and this is why I do what I do, is really for you guys. The contributions of the coffee and the t-shirts and the support for shelving units, all that stuff is really, it does my heart good. And this is a Alamo Drafthouse shirt, but watch more movies. So join us again on Monday, and we'll watch some more movies. Always happy to show them. I'm happy that I got this up and running so that I can bring you new stuff that I have not digitized yet, and we can watch fun things together, provided the copyright hammers don't come and smash us to bits. So everybody have a good rest of your Friday and a good weekend, and hopefully I'll see you on Monday. Everybody, if you like what you saw, you can hit like and subscribe. You can buy us coffee, or you can just tune in again on Monday. Take care, everybody. We love you. Bye.